1989, and we're in Houston, Texas, with the Rosenzweig family, and I'm going to introduce them all, and I'm going to ask them a few questions about the family and the history of the family, and we will start with the matriarch of the family, Aunt Mary Rosenzweig Davidson, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Aunt Mary, and then after Aunt Mary was Uncle Morris Aaron, right?
Morris Aaron, right.
Rosenzweig, and Aunt Freda. Aunt Freda, you want to look up for a second? There you go.
Breaking the camera.
After Uncle Morris was Uncle Eddie, who can't be here today. His name was Eddie. His middle name was what?
Louis.
Louis?
Louis.
Okay, and then it was Uncle Leon, who passed away in 1975. And the next brother, Uncle Abe Rosenzweig. Uncle Abe, did you have
middle name?
middle name?
No middle name. They forgot it.
They forgot it. Uncle Abe Rosenzweig. And Aunt Helen Rosenzweig. Lieben, right?
Right.
Uncle Lieben Rosenzweig. And the youngest was Gertrude, the baby. Gertrude, Estelle, Gita Lester, right? Okay. And my father, Sidney Gertrude, who got hooked up into this family in 1946.
Because of Mary.
Because of Mary? Okay.
Mary wouldn't tell me the story, you see.
We want to talk a little bit today about your recollections of, I guess the only two here right that can talk about Europe specifically. Can you not hear me?
No.
Okay, we're going to talk first of all today about Europe and what your recollections of
What do I know about you?
life in Europe. So first of all, Aunt Mary, what do you recall about Europe?
Nothing too much. I know I lived with my grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know.
Do you remember your grandmother?
No.
Do you remember Papa Meyer's mother?
I try to, I think we have a picture, and that's the only thing that I remember.
Just a little girl.
You were a little girl when you left. You described one time the house. You recall the floor.
Huh?
One time you described to me their house, the floor of their house. Do you remember that?
No. I think it was a dirt floor.
Yeah, that's what you told me, yeah.
I think there was a dirt floor.
We're very poor people?
But I don't remember my grandmother.
And he says, were they poor people?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember my grandfather at all.
Yes, he passed away, I think.
See, he must have passed
Before
away.
you were born.
Yeah.
I believe so.
But I remember I faintly remember I don't remember my grandmother. Grandmother Rosenzweig, I do, because of the picture.
Uh-huh.
And I was pretty young. Let's see, about 7 years old, I think, when I came here. Yeah, I look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here.
You told me that she said one time...
Where were you?
Huh?
She said she wasn't here. I said, where were you?
Hiding
Yeah,
in
Glean.
the front closet.
Was hiding in the front closet. Aunt Mary, one more thing I want to ask you. You had said something about a story you remember about the Grandma Giedel and her sister Brindle.
Who? Grandma what?
Giedel and her sister Brondel.
Well, all I remember is Gila Gaze.
She used to go very... She used to
Papa
be,
used to say Gila Gaze. Well, that was...
Why? What was the purpose?
Well, Grandma was quiet, as far as I know. You're talking about Papa's mama.
right.
And Grandma was quiet, but her sister, and what did you call her?
Brindle.
All right. Her sister liked to go, and Papa used to say Gila Gaze because she...
I thought that Mama used to tell me that Brondel was in a hurry and she'd always rushing around.
Yeah, she wanted to go. And Grandma must have been quiet because she didn't like to go very much.
Uh-huh.
And so Papa used to say Gila Gaze, and of course you're named after Grandma.
Uh-huh. Uncle Morris, what do you remember about your grandfather in Europe? Do you remember him at all? I know Uncle Eddie remembers him helping him tie his shoestrings and remembers different. You don't remember it all. You don't remember his face even.
I don't, sure don't. Only thing is we have a picture of him.
Right. Do you either one of you recall anything about your trip over on the boat? Do you remember anything about the boat at all?
We were in the steerage, I know that.
You were in the steerage?
In the steerage, yeah.
Do you recall being sick or being a long voyage? Do you remember anything about it at all?
It was a long voyage of around a month.
30 days, I think. Papa
28
said.
to 30 days.
30 days it took to
Uh-huh.
come
We
over
went to
here.
New York and then came all the way around to Galveston.
Uh-huh. So, and do you recall anything specific about the voyage?
No.
No one getting sick or anything?
We never did. We were all down in the body, the belly of the ship.
Do you remember your father meeting you at the boat when you arrived?
Yeah.
You do remember that? Because I assume you probably almost didn't even know what he looked like because it had been so long since you all had seen
I
him.
remember that too, when he met us in Galveston.
Ask him what route
Oh,
I
yeah.
am.
And I remember his buying bananas. Do you remember? And I didn't know that you're supposed to peel them. And I ate it, and Papa said, you peel the bananas.
And he told you in English or in
In
Yiddish?
Yiddish.
I couldn't talk in
How
All
do
of
they
it.
say peel a banana in Yiddish?
Have
They
you
always
found
say-
out yet that you're supposed to peel a banana? Do you
They
still
always
eat 'em?
spoke to us in Yiddish.
Laugh. You know how many years
Where are you
that's
going to put these
later?
pictures? In the post office?
Yeah.
Wanted dead or
That's
I
alive?
remember Meyer, I used to have a fella come by the house every day to teach me.
Teach you English?
English, no. In Poland, they don't know.
Oh, in Poland you had a Malamed that came by the house every day?
Mama that came by the house.
You remember that? And you were learning Aleph Base, I
All
suppose.
of those, all of
I
those.
didn't know.
How did they teach you? Do you remember how? You
No,
remember?
I just.
They sing Komets Alevo, Komets Baseball. Did they teach you that way? Or no?
I didn't. I remember that part of it, that the fella used to come by the house and teach us.
Did you recall? You seem to like learning that, or did you not?
Yeah, I did.
Uh huh. Did he give you like when you do good? Did he give you like
Don't-
raisins and
now,
almonds?
You're getting into specifics.
I'm asking
now.
specific.
It's 70 some odd years ago.
Uh huh.
Uh,
Don't remember.
I don't go that far.
Okay.
That's
Where did you all first live when you arrived in America?
Oh, in Fifth Ward, Bloody
Fifth
Fifth.
Ward on Nance and
Nance and Clark.
Clark,
Nance and Clark. And
Street.
what type of neighborhood was it then?
a black
Gosh,
neighbor.
It was a black neighborhood then?
ultra black.
Ultra.
That's right. That's where you were born.
Can you describe the house? Do you recall,
Scott.
Uncle Abe, you were born in that house there?
I wish you could
I
have
was
seen
born in
that
the
house.
hospital,
You were born in the hospital?
Yeah.
Wait.
You-
and I wanted to be next to my mother. That's why I was born there. See,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Were you born in the hospital?
I don't know. Comedian.
I don't
No, I
think
had
so.
the
I remember.
privilege of being
I
the
remember
only
Dr.
one
Scott
born in the
came by in a
hospital.
horse and buggy.
Dr. Scott
You
came
were
by?
born in bed.
Do you remember the day that Uncle Abe was born?
No, but I think so. Do you remember when he was born? I remember he
I
was
don't
born and
remember
Leon
him,
was born.
But I remember Leon, and I went
Are
to
you
Miss
sure I belong to this
Fagelson.
family?
Papa told me to walk, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning,
Sure,
and
they're
I
always
walked to
born
Miss
in-
Fagelson.
Did she live there too?
That's Aunt
Yeah,
Molly's
Miss
mother.
Fagelson didn't live long.
Mrs. Fagelson was Aunt Molly's mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aunt Molly's mother.
Uh-huh. Okay.
She also
And,
from Wharton.
She's also Aideen Holland's grandmother.
Uh-huh.
I
Who?
think the
Oh, yeah,
doctor
Nadine
came
Hall.
late. I don't remember about you. I don't think you were born.
I don't think so.
Oh,
He
my
was
God.
hatched under a rock.
Well, Leon was born, I think, 9 months after that mama came over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
Is that right? That
Yes.
soon?
They arrived in January and
January,
he was
and he
born
was
in
born in
October.
September.
I assume your
October.
folks were pretty pleased to see each other, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right, Uncle Abe?
Yes, anything you say is okay.
Oh.
I agree with you.
Can you tell me, did you have any pets around the house? Did your folks keep pets around the house in the early days?
Ask her.
No, I understand.
Ask your mammy. She knows about the pet.
I'm talking about, didn't you have some kind of horse or something around the
We
house?
had-
Oh,
Great.
well, that wasn't a pet. That was part of the life.
Well, tell me about the horse. What was the horse's name?
Oh, that horse was bought from the American Brewery.
Yeah.
and he bit me. That horse didn't like women.
He bit you?
Yeah, he bit me right on the side. I
What did
didn't
you do
like
with the
that
horse?
damn horse.
Did you even,
Didn't have cars then.
did you have horse meat for the rest
Yeah,
of
but
the
Oh,
didn't they tell me
horse
that
and
they
wagon,
used
the
to have
horse
the
and
window
buggy?
open and the
Wasn't
horse
any-
used
wasn't
to
any
stick his
cars
head in
then.
the window and
Really?
Mama told me they used to eat
Oh,
off the...
I have to tell this.
Was
Uncle
it-
Louis came over one night, and Morris may remember, and he said, and it was just boiling hot, and Papa put the pillow in the windowsill. There was no screens, you remember?
Yeah.
And Papa put the pillow, and Uncle Louis said, Maya, that horse is going to come and bite your head off. Now that I remember.
And did he?
No, of course they.
So serious. You're not serious, are you? Are you a robot?
No, like that's true.
No,
Uncle
she's
Louis
Israeli. She's not serious.
Mary, do you remember when we had the outside bakatzas?
Yes, I remember that. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
You remember, Mary, you remember when we had the fire on Washington Avenue?
Yeah.
Has what?
The
A fire.
Yeah, he set fire to the.
How you know I did it?
That's what I
You know, you can be sued for slander, you know.
So what happened with the fire?
We put it out.
They burned before they burned the house down or
No, it
after?
wasn't in the house. It was in the
Barn.
stable.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Where were y'all living when LB threw a shoe at somebody and hit the showcase?
Oh, we're living on,
Broadway?
Washington?
Broadway?
no, LB,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
they were living on Chartres.
I asked where we were living.
Oh, I don't know.
We must have been living on Broadway.
Wait, so after Nance Street, where did you move after Nance Street? You moved straight to Broadway or where?
No, we
Moved to
moved on
Washington.
Washington Avenue.
Now, what types of houses were these? Were they like shacks or were they
They were
decent?
frame
Oh,
houses.
on
They were
Washington?
They
That
didn't-
was the
One story?
Washington
That was
was
when
a
they,
two-story house with the grocery below, and we lived over it.
Oh,
You know, I
that was
passed by there about
Ritzy.
a couple of months
It's
ago.
still there?
Yeah, but it's about ready to fall in. It may be gone already by now, but it was ready to fall in.
Sure enough.
Did your father-
We had a well there. We didn't have
A
any.
water well? You had no running water?
We didn't have any.
Well, they
city
brought
water.
it in later on.
Well,
Yeah,
it came in later, but when we moved over there, they had a cistern in there. Had a
Not a brother,
You
but
know
a sister.
Washington Avenue?
Yeah.
on Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. We were Ritzy. You remember that it was carpeted upstairs? Oh,
So you had to go in and draw water out of a well when you were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the well.
You ever throw pennies in it?
No, it was a trickle well.
I
Who
mean,
had
who
pennies?
had pennies?
Who had pennies?
What did your father do in business? Was he always in groceries or did he sell? Was he ever in dry
That
goods?
was when Camp
Maybe.
Logan was on Washington Avenue. Was Camp Logan?
Around
And-
First World War?
First
Yeah.
World War.
What did your father sell there? Did he sell?
Huh?
Was your father always in the grocery business or did he sell dry goods at one point?
No, he never sold any dry goods. He worked for Uncle Harry for a while, didn't he?
Oh, for what? It's still
He
beer.
was in the transfer business for
Transfer.
a while.
Transfer meaning what do you mean?
Yeah.
Big
Moving
trucks
and hauling.
Really, I didn't know that. Was that before he went into the grocery or intermediate?
The last thing he did was after he sold his grocery business, he went to the.
No.
Oh, that's
Not-
right. That's
not
right.
the last.
No,
He went
that's
back
right.
in it.
And then he went back in it. I forgot
You
about
were
Uh-huh.
driving a
Yeah,
truck
well,
then
he
when
went
you
back
were what,
in it
how
with
old?
you.
16?
That's right.
You were driving a truck for him in this business? Transfer.
No, I was driving a truck. Drive that big six-wheeler, you remember? When we had to transfer?
I remember.
I learned
Oh,
how.
when Abe came along, we were already on our feet, weren't we?
I
Oh,
wouldn't call it that.
No.
I remember hearing that y'all had problems with the black residents over there sometimes. Didn't Pop have a problem one time when he was closing up? He was
He was
accosted.
held up once.
He was held up.
He was held up.
And what happened?
Fella walked in there and had a shotgun, I think.
The black guy held him up there
Took
on
the money out of the
Broadway.
register and ran, and they never did catch him.
I thought he was hit in the head one time. I thought your father was hit Didn't you tell me, Aunt Mary, that...
Yeah, he was hit with a glass, a shot in Fifth Ward. You don't remember
Oh, yeah,
that?
now that you
What happened, Aunt Mary?
A dance. There was a dance hall across
Yeah, there was
the way.
well, wasn't
pushing the
wasn't it a church across the way that had the
I
dance?
think it was a dance hall.
dance?
So it was late at night? And
Yeah.
Schwarzer came out and what did...
he threw a glass. Papa wore a scar, if you remember. He had a scar where
Yeah.
the glass hit him.
Were there any other incidences of
Huh?
were there any other incidences of tension between the blacks and the whites over in that area? Do you recall? What about Helen Fisher? Aunt Mary, she always...
Don't talk with me, Helen Fisher.
What?
Helen
Can you tell about the things how things were in the house when she was living there?
You know what her famous
She
last
dealt me
words
no
were?
What were her famous last words?
I used to be a beautiful girl. Remember Gertie?
She used to say that all the
She
time.
looked like Paula Negra.
Pola Negri, she looked like?
Yeah, under the arms.
Under,
Oh,
under the arms.
I had a date with,
Billy
Willie
Lynn.
Les. I stood him off,
How do you feel?
and Helen never
How do you feel?
forgot that.
Aunt Mary, how did you get along with Helen? Pretty well?
Oh, anybody could get along with that.
never.
Somebody looking at
Aunt Mary, was there a story about the time when you guys weren't speaking and Uncle Morris chased you with a rat?
Well,
I never did chase
that
her with a
it
rat.
did- That
What
was
was-
Sweet
mild.
potato.
Can you tell the story? What happened? The two of you weren't talking?
Well, tell 'em.
That was
Sweet potato.
mild. Sweet potato business was mild. I went over to Miss Nettle. Yes.
Well, tell
You
the
don't-
story. He wants to hear the story.
Well, I went over to Miss Nettles and
clean,
Miss
please.
Nettles. Miss Nettles said, Mr. Rosen, or she called him Rosen, I think. And she said, Mary came here crying. And he said, I don't have time to fool
Well,
with that.
what happened? You didn't tell.
Well, all I can tell is that I walked to Miss Nettles' house.
No, but what caused you to walk to Miss Nettle's house? What was the story behind it?
Morris held up a sweet potato, and I thought it was a
It
mouse.
looked like a rat.
And if you say the word mouse, but that was mild. I'll never forget when he locked me in the,
In the bathroom.
the privy.
Outside.
Who did? Uncle Morris locked you in the privy?
Well, who rescued you?
I don't remember who opened the door, but he locked me in there, and there was lime
He
all
hadn't changed
over.
any. It's still the same.
Lime.
He's still like it.
Yeah.
What was the line called?
Still like
Well, the
grubby
lime
and
it wasn't a toilet. It was still
Oh, I see.
So what happened, Aunt Mary? How long were you stuck in there?
I don't remember that.
It's just you're
But
still
I've
in shock.
never forgotten that
Very traumatic.
incident.
What? So Uncle Morris, maybe you should tell. You should give more details. You seem to have a better memory for these things. What happened when it was Aunt Mary and Helen weren't talking at that time? I
Yeah,
think.
they weren't talking. And by the way, Eddie was involved in that thing with the
I
sweep potato.
remember that.
So Eddie and I came in with a sweep potato and waved it, and they ran together in the middle of the room and almost knocked each other out.
She was a character.
So I heard there was so much screaming in the house they called the fire department. They thought it was a fire or something.
She was a character.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that incident, Uncle Abe?
No, I was just a little girl.
You were just a little girl.
You know, that was
Maybe you remember an incident about you starting
Maybe
up
that
the
was
car
in
one time. What
the
happened that
early
time?
20s.
You were cranking the car up.
Oh, broke my arm, that's all.
How did it happen? What was happening?
Well, the crank was stronger than my arm, and it,
Flipped backwards.
yeah, I went back.
Broke your arm.
I think Eddie had a broken arm, too.
Eddie had a broken arm too.
Did
From-
you break yours?
No, I never did get mine.
From cranking the car up?
Yeah, they didn't have self-starters
Everybody
on
did.
them.
The
Yeah,
Model
yeah.
T's and
Oh, Model
used
T,
to
you had
crank
to
them.
start them
You
with a
didn't.
crank.
What did y'all have? Y'all had a Model T?
Model T, yeah.
Was that your own personal car, or was that the family car?
I had my own car. Oh, I had a car when I was
Said he always had a car.
14, 15 years old.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Uncle
And I
Mor-
remember a certain party fell on the exhaust pipe and a kitty bit her.
A kitty bit her.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it was.
What happened?
Your little sister.
A little baby sister of mine fell on the exhaust pipe.
The exhaust pipe.
Exhaust pipe, yeah, and the kitty the same time the kitty bit her.
Oh my. That
Kitty.
must have been.
No,
She-
what happened was
she had a-
people asked me what was
she had
wrong.
a
I think my
double-
arm was in a bandage or something. Said, what happened to you? And I said, I fell on the exhaust pipe and the kitty bit me.
One wasn't enough. She had to have two of them.
Yeah.
You always had cats, didn't you?
Yeah, tell her about the
Many
20
cats,
20
Mary
some
Denn.
odd cats you had over there on Broadway. I mean on West Main.
They were
West
Mama's
Main.
cats. They weren't mine.
What was the most famous cat over there?
Smokey.
Norma Jean.
Gray.
Gray,
But we
yeah.
called her Smokey, and we used to go around when the boy cats came around. We used to sing on top of old Smokey.
What, Uncle Morris, what, I heard you were a little bit ingenious. You used to create things. Did you ever have an early radio set? How did you create that thing?
Yeah, I made it out of oatmeal box.
Oatmeal box.
Sure
We
did.
made it.
What was
yeah,
it?
we had a
What
little
they call
room
that?
up on
What
the
they
up
call
on
those
the
radios,
Crystal.
Crystal set.
you
Yeah.
remember up on the second floor.
I remember that, believe it or not.
You had
Uh-huh.
your own private room there. That
You had a little room out
Yeah,
there. We
it
had
was
a radio
Like a
set.
little turret.
But what kind of things could you listen to at that time? What there wasn't radio stations.
APRC.
They had radio stations then?
Yeah.
KPRC.
Back in the 20s, they had some radio stations
Broadcasting music or news or what would they broad?
there.
Everything.
You name it, they had it, yeah.
They named it. They had the same.
Yeah.
Huh.
Used to go down, I think, to Cresses and buy those tuners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tune was right
And
around.
we used to buy wire and wrap it around an oatmeal box
oatmeal
there,
box.
and you could tune it there. And we had
Crystal,
receivers.
they were all crystal sets.
Yeah.
With a crystal.
And,
How did your father buy the house on West Main, Uncle Abe? Was it a good investment for him? And do you recall when he bought the house on West Main?
He
Bought the
he
house
bought a
and-
half a block.
in about
of
1927, I think, right after he sold the store on Broadway.
Do you recall what he paid for the house? Uncle Morris, do you recall?
Seemed to me it was like $8,000. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, he bought.
Yeah,
he
from Bonnie
had
Block.
about 4 or
No.
5 houses on it. He bought a half.
He bought
block.
on West Main. He bought half a block.
West Main.
Oh, not
We're
oh,
talking
West
about West
Main.
Main.
No, no. I thought you were talking
Oh,
about
the
on
house
Broadway.
on West Main.
Do you recall, Uncle Abe?
He had
I
to.
don't remember how much you paid for it, but you don't.
That was-
I
but it was
remember
quite
he
a
had
nice
to
house,
fight
wasn't
to keep
Huh?
that house.
Yeah, it was a nice house.
And
For those
they
days?
almost took that
I was
house
never in that
away
house.
from me.
Oh.
In those days, it was a very nice house, though, for a
Yeah.
family to have a house like that.
It was built in about 1921 or 22. It wasn't very old when we moved in. And we had a bathroom upstairs, a full bath, and downstairs with a half a bath under the
Yeah,
steps.
under the stairs.
You had how many bedrooms there?
Had about 4 bedrooms upstairs.
4 bedrooms and 1 bath.
And we had to draw, you know,
I used to
draw
say,
straws to get into
I
it.
was dating then, and I'd say, Mama, make Morris get out of the bathroom, and they get out of the bathroom.
What was it a good investment for your father overall? Was it a? I mean, he had. I understand he had a
No,
struggle.
we couldn't hardly pay for it in the 30s. We couldn't hardly pay. And we made a loan through the, I think it was RFC, wasn't it? We made a loan. We finally paid it off.
He had amassed before the Depression a pretty good size of amount of property, didn't he?
Well, where we lived on Broadway, we owned about a quarter of a block, a little more, all the way from Broadway
It was a half
down
a
to
block
Dolly. It wasn't quite a half a
yeah.
block there.
Wasn't it about
There was
half a
a
block?
key lot. You remember?
There was two houses on Broadway, and
One house, wasn't it?
no,
Was it two?
they had the store, and then there was a house next to it.
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah.
I seem to recall though that he just about lost everything except the house when the Depression hit. Is that?
In the transfer business, they lost it, lost back
No,
everything.
we sold that all that time to this fellow Brady Steele. He was brother-in-law to Oscar Holcomb.
To the mayor.
And
There was a bunch of houses. Lily Rolnick lived in one house. Do you remember Lily Rolnick?
yeah,
Al
there was
Abelson's
about-
sister?
There was
And I
one
used to
house.
walk over there all the time.
There was one house on Dowling Street, all the way around.
Yeah, that's what I said. There was a key lot.
Y'all were talking about the Broadway property.
Yeah, Broadway.
you remember anything about the Broadway over there?
Oh, I have dim recollections.
Let me ask another question here. You already talked about the accident when you were 15 years old, Uncle Abe. No, you didn't actually, did you?
16.
You were 16. What happened on that when you had that accident?
You were right.
I was in the back of the car riding.
Who were you with that day?
I was
Leon.
with Leon, and who was in the front seat? I don't remember.
Not me.
Leon was driving.
Leon was driving.
I was in the back seat, and the guy hit us.
How did he hit you? Broadside or?
He hit us
Was it their
broadside.
fault? Was it his fault?
It was
Well,
on.
we thought that he was drunk, and Papa even got a private investigator to go check on him. Nothing ever came of it. We didn't get anything
No, he
out of
didn't
it.
have
What
any
street
money,
was
I
that
don't
on?
think.
We were living on
No, I
West
mean,
Main.
where did it happen?
Oh, happened on Louisiana and Elgin.
Yeah, right on the.
So what happened? Was anybody physically? I mean, I know what happened to you later, but I mean, at the time of the accident, was anybody cut up or anything, or you were cut at the time of the accident?
I wasn't cut. I was hurt inside of my.
Yeah.
That was a little later in the
Hospital.
evening, though, wasn't it? Did you go straight to the hospital from there, or
Yeah.
you did? And
They kept me overnight and said I was all right, and I come back home, and I started feeling bad. Then they took me back to the hospital, and that's where they operated on me.
and what did they do? They had to remove a kidney.
They removed it, and then they pickled it.
I
See,
think yeah, and was it checked properly though? Who had the hashgacha on that?
had a what?
Hashgacha on that. So
Strictly kosher.
yeah, who was the shaykhid? You don't remember?
That was
Rabbi
Dr.
Lanzmann?
Denman and the Turner. You remember the two Turner brothers?
The two Turner boys.
Had a institute. They called it the Urological Institute. That time they were over
Right
there
over there on Caroline Street.
Caroline, over there, right where you
You
were.
remember any of that?
Right there by the
Sure, I was
cotton
a
exchange
little
building,
girl.
across the street.
They
from Cotton
shifted me from one house to another every night. I would sleep, because Mama stayed at the hospital with you a lot.
She did. Oh,
And they took me over to the Dunns to spend the night, and I remember I woke them all up in the middle of the night. I was crying. I wanted to go home, and Mr. Dunn had to wake up and take me home.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember your mother staying with you in the hospital? No.
I thought I stayed by myself all the time.
Well, I don't know why, I do
didn't
remember
say
that,
that,
and I
did
went
you?
back.
I wouldn't.
Them
were
shifted me
mad
over
at me
different
then,
people's
that's why.
houses.
And Helen, you were mad at him then, huh?
Right.
That was a little bit
I went
before
over
you
to Charlie
Little
Cook's
bit
moved
before
it.
I got in trouble.
Uncle Morris,
You were trouble.
will you and Aunt Freda tell me about your trip to New York and Chicago in 1934?
Well, we went to the World's Fair in Chicago.
Who all went?
Your mother.
Gertie.
Mama and Gertie and
You
Freda
went
and
too,
I.
Vic?
It was the four of you.
Yeah.
So you went first to Chicago or to New York first?
Chicago.
Well, Chicago first. We
Uh-huh.
went to the World's Fair first.
Y'all went to stay with Helen Fisher there or what?
No, sure, no.
She lived in New York
She
then.
lived in New York.
Uh-huh. So what was there anything that stands out about that trip specifically? Any interesting incidences that happened on that trip?
No, we had 7 flats on the first day.
On the first day you had 7 flats?
Before we even got out of Houston.
That's right. We had 7 flats.
Oh,
Blowouts.
Did you have a spare then?
We had a spare, but
It was no better than the other.
And Mary was expecting any minute. Remember?
yeah.
What about going to the did y'all go to Canada also?
We went.
Oh,
We crossed at Niagara Falls. We went across.
Did y'all have any problems crossing the border?
We didn't. We had a problem coming back.
What happened?
They wouldn't let him
What are you laughing about, Gert?
It was Mama.
in.
Yeah, I know with Mama.
What happened?
Well, they wanted to know where we were born.
They wanted to know where you were.
Well, they asked us all, and I told them a darn lie. I told them I was born in Houston, and they asked Mama where she was born, and she said she was born in Galveston.
Where?
You
Galveston.
remember that, Gertie? And the fellow says, "Well, where did you pick up an accent like that?" And she says, "Well, it says I just went home and saw my folks and folks." Now that.
Was she was from Galveston?
Yeah, otherwise we would have had to prove we were citizens. See?
So you got through okay. You didn't have
Oh
to,
yeah, we didn't have any problem after we told
Did-
them the bald-faced lie.
the Mountie believed it after all, and just let y'all
Yeah.
go.
Let us go.
What? I used to hear some other stories about Grandma. Perhaps Aunt Mary. Do you remember a story about any visitors, intruders in the house, animal intruders like a possum?
I've been through the mill, I'm telling you.
What was the?
Possum came down the chimney. No, the fireplace, the chimney. We didn't have it.
So what happened?
Came in the fireplace and I saw, and I hopped up on the couch, and then I sat.
All right, take it easy, yeah.
And Papa came down in his shorts.
His union suit he wore.
I don't remember.
And he,
You don't remember?
I remember the possum now. I think I got after him.
what
that
happened? And I thought it was a rat. You know, a possum looks just like.
These-
time. Possum's a whole lot bigger than the rat.
So what happened after all?
Well,
We caught
the
the possum.
possum went up the fireplace, didn't he?
I'll tell you what happened. You weren't with us the first time we saw the possum. The first time the possum, it was on a Friday night. It was just Mama and I downstairs, and Papa was upstairs. And I saw something crawl out of the fireplace, and I screamed, and Mama came running, and I said, "What is that? What is that?" And Mama says, "Ich weiß nicht, it's an animal, and it has it says, with zwei große Augen and a lange Schwanz." And so she started screaming too, and Papa came down in his union suit. He took the possum and put it in a box, but he thought he would take it downtown, I believe, to the store, and he didn't tie up the box, and he left it downstairs by the back door, and in the morning when we woke up, it was an empty box and no possum. And I was scared to death every night I'd go to bed. I was afraid I'd find that thing in my bed. And for a week, and the following week, Mary and Hallie Ray were at the house visiting. I don't know where Abe was. He had dropped y'all off and came back. And we were sitting around, and I said, "Remember, Mama, what happened a week ago tonight?" And Mama says, "What?" And so I said, "Don't you remember?" And Mary said, "Oh, yeah." She had heard the story, and she said, "The possum." And when she said the word possum, it's like he took his cue, and he came on in front of us, and that's when she screamed and jumped up on the couch. This time, he let the possum outside, and I understand that he went to we had a colored woman renting from us in the we called it the servants' quarters then, and he used to steal all her potatoes and onions she kept outside. Emma was her name.
But did they ever kill the possum?
I think she may have served him for Sunday lunch. I'm not sure. With
They
sweet
used to do
And
potatoes.
I thought it
this.
was
He
a
used to
rat.
eat possum.
Oh, yeah. Suckers
The
like
real name is
possum and
opossum.
sweet potatoes.
Uncle Abe, what do you recall about your mother's driving record?
I don't know.
Oh, I taught her to drive.
You taught her to drive?
Oh, you remember that accident y'all had?
No.
Or were you with? No, I was with. Yeah, you and me and Mama.
Were you with her when she drove into Eddie's store?
That's another time.
Into the store?
What do you mean she
Huh?
drove into the store?
Drove into.
She made a on the drive-in
West
entrance?
Alabama, wasn't it?
Huh?
Mama
West
didn't
Alabama,
look.
wasn't it?
Yeah, on Alabama. Yeah, she
The
drove
place
in.
is still closed yet.
Was it a
Huh?
drive-in
The
store?
is still closed.
No, Eddie had a grocery store.
But did it have a drive-in window there or what?
No,
She
she
made it.
drove over the curb
made
and
it
went on
drive-in
into the
window.
store.
She drove into the store?
Yeah.
Through the door or what?
In a hurry.
Yeah, the door and then a
Made
couple
a
of
new door.
showcases you took out.
Made a new door.
No, but didn't you remember, Freda? Were you with us, giving her a lesson and she was at the wheel, and whoever was with us sat next to her. I don't know whether it was you or someone else, and I sat by the other door. And we were riding down Elgin, and then we turned on Chenevert by Elizabeth Baldwin Park. And when she didn't realize that when you make a turn, you're supposed to eventually straighten your wheels.
Oh,
She
kept
kept
going.
on turning, and we ran into a telephone post, and I flew completely over to the other side of the street.
Oh, my God.
I landed on the curb, I did. And I was very lucky. All I got was a bad skinned knee.
That's what's wrong you need today.
Mama
that was
never
the
looked
beginning.
like she
Should've went
was
to
I
Africa.
going.
can't remember, were you with us at that time?
I can't remember that.
So
Hey, aren't you gonna ask your
I'm
daddy any questions at all?
Oh, we talked,
No,
we
this is
talked, this is the
Rosenzweig.
Rosenzweig, we talked the other night.
Oh,
Then,
you've already been through it,
Oh,
huh?
we've been through it,
All of them.
3 hours.
What?
But do you remember Mama used to drive the car? She never looked either way. She just drove. And she,
I don't know
I
how she ever got a
remember,
driver's
once
license.
I was sick
Did you
or
have to have a
something, and she was
driver's
taking me
license?
over.
I think
my
so.
parents'
Mark,
car.
didn't you have to have
And
a
I
driver's
was so
license those
scared when
days
she
or
put
not?
on
I
Harrisburg,
don't think
no
so.
information. I
No,
said,
no,
no
no,
more.
no.
Never got
one time, no, I don't know if Mama was
Parallel
with you or
park,
not. You
I
hurt
bet
your
you
knee
was a parallel
driving.
No.
Oh, that was with Mara.
Oh, okay.
Mother, what about the time when y'all got on the bus to go downtown, and she gave him tokens?
Oh, that's another story. The driver said to her, it's all right this time, but we really don't allow any tokens in here. So I didn't know he told her that. She came and sat down next to me, and all the way to town she never talked. And I says, Mama, why you so quiet? She said, the driver had gesagt mir no talking. I said, what? I found out that he had said to her, they don't allow tokens, and she thought he said he didn't allow talking.
Let me ask you, you know, it's sort of the only person that's here that really can't talk for himself is Uncle Leon, Oliver Shalom.
Tell me what he said.
Can anybody have any recollections of Uncle Leon or anything that
Well, Leon always said, time is of the essence. That was his favorite expression, wasn't it?
And another one was, money isn't worth a damn thing unless you spend it. Yeah, he
Leon used to say that?
That he used to say that. You remember
Is that
that?
after he made it? Is that after he made it or before he made it?
The best.
I would say after he made it.
And person sure.
You remember him saying that? He used to say, remember, Gertie, money is not worth a damn thing until you spend
I
it.
remember they used to smoke a lot. Both of them
Oh,
used to
Leon and
Yeah.
Clem used to?
Yeah, and they used to take, after they'd smoked a cigarette, they used to save the butts. And they would roll them up and make more cigarettes. Don't you remember that?
That was
Really?
the early days.
In an early day, after
didn't
they
have
got
any.
married.
Who, can you recall the story about, I know it was very dramatic when he got married to Aunt Clem, and it was very secretive for a long time.
Nobody knew here.
I know, he never told
He
anyone.
didn't get married here. He got married in Louisiana.
He got married in New Orleans.
Vinton.
No, man.
Vinton.
Vinton? What was his reason?
It was between here and New Orleans. It was a small town.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Vinton.
What was his reason for moving to New Orleans in the first place? Was it because of Aunt Clem, or was it just because he was?
He wanted to get away from Papa.
What happened with
He
it?
didn't want Papa to know that he married a Shakespeare.
Well, he had a store here, and
Was it
Indian
successful?
Road.
He didn't make it.
They didn't
to the
make
show.
it.
Uh huh. Did he have problems
But
getting
he
along?
went to work when in New Orleans for the Monarch Foods. Do you remember?
Right.
And they gave him the district over there so he could, and he did pretty good with it, I think, for a while. And then he got into this lumber business there.
Well, now, I think he was working with them, and he went to the Army. And when he came out of the Army, him and this Mac
That was his,
partner,
yeah, but it was his commanding
commanding
officer.
officer, yeah, they decided they would go into the packing business.
In the salvage
It
business.
ended
too,
up, the
when they-
commanding officer went to work for Leon.
What?
Did they go into salvage business of some kind, buying
Yeah,
up
surplus, yeah, bought surplus.
Surplus, yeah.
Did he get along with Papa Meyer, or was there difficulties there in the house or in the business? He was in business with him also at one point, or no?
No, he never went.
Yeah, he was in the business,
Oh,
yeah.
lordy, lordy,
When we were on Dallas and Smith, he was in the business. And he couldn't make a living, and he wanted to get married or going out. So he went for himself. He opened a store on Canal Street, and that didn't work out.
Wasn't it after that he went to Denver? You remember he
Yeah.
went to Denver?
Went to Colorado?
Yeah.
He had a girlfriend. And
She was a nice Jewish girl.
She was a Jewish girl too?
and he stayed up there about 6 months, I believe, and he couldn't do very well, and the girl sort of let him know that she wasn't interested in him. She wasn't providing.
Who was that?
Yvette. You remember her name was
You know,
Yvette?
she
Oh,
passed
I-
away.
Yeah,
Johnny Goldberg told me. You know,
girl that,
he's from Denver.
that
Well,
Leon
he used
went
to live
with.
there or something. He knew her real well.
Gertie. The girl that Leon went with,
Uh-huh.
oh, I remember her. He brought her to Bel Air upstairs. She was darling.
Yeah,
Did- Did he get along with your father though in business? I remember somebody told me that he used to like to come in later at night, and then he finally had Pop had problems with look if he got to come in at a civil hour. Did that finally convince him also to leave to go?
I think that had a lot to do with it too.
Well, he
But
was
I'll tell
going
you,
with Clem then.
he was going with her, and I think I may be wrong. Maybe did he marry her in Louisiana and they came back to Houston? No, when they
He
married.
went from Louisiana, went to New Orleans because he had this job there with them.
I see. Okay.
And I don't know.
I'm wrong.
What would you, if you were to tell, and I'd like to get something from each one of you, if you were speaking right now to children or grandchildren or people in our family 50 or 60 years ago, and we were trying to explain to them about the immigrant generation, about your parents, how would you describe your father and your mother as far as personality-wise and things that you remember about them? Uncle Abe, I'll start with you.
I don't know what to
About
tell you.
what?
About your mother and father.
Well, they lived together, and I don't know what else.
He had a temper.
Oh, Papa.
Was your father a strict disciplinarian?
Well, he was pretty good, yeah.
Did you get whipped? Did he ever whip the
No.
kids?
Never like that. Yeah, one time he whipped me. I caught the train. You remember the train that was going out in front of our house on Broadway?
Yeah.
I hopped the train one time.
How far did you get?
I don't remember. But when you got
Yeah,
You were
you
leaving
saw it.
home? You were running away from home or what?
I didn't run away from home.
Just to
no.
get on the
Plane.
Yeah.
Just
You
to ride
remember
the train.
the box cars used to come by, the trains came by in front
I
of the house.
remember there was a train.
And I hopped it
Right,
one
right
time.
from the
And
store.
he saw you.
He saw me, I think. Beat me, hit me. I don't remember.
What about your mother? Was she a disciplinarian? Did she slap or hit or
No,
pinch or
I
anything?
don't remember.
She could really kind of curse.
Zeal you.
Yeah.
Were there any good curses? Did your mother have any good curses that you recall?
Yeah, everybody, every Jewish mother got
Oh,
good.
boy.
Can you remember any of them?
Leren ze te grappen.
Yeah.
She used to say that.
A fire of the.
A misa machine is a. Oh.
You bringing up stuff that
Oh.
I'd forgotten altogether.
Listen, these old time Jews knew how to curse. I'll tell you, every one of them.
Especially the Rosenzweigs.
Yeah, he says we all know how, especially the male top side, he said. Because he's going by Helen Fisher, she knows how too.
They didn't Helen Fisher have some sisters, and one of them was in Colombia,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and one was in Brazil. I
right.
think.
They're both gone.
They're both gone there.
Yeah.
But one of them, didn't you meet one of them's granddaughter or
I
something?
spoke with one. No, I didn't. Bernard did.
Oh, Bernard
Yeah,
did?
but I met.
Did she have one in Argentine also?
No. Uncle Morris, what about your recollections of your parents, your mother and father? Do you recall anything specific about them their personalities or any
No, sure don't.
special traits?
Papa brought us.
What are your earliest recollections of your father? Did he play? Do you ever recall your father playing with you as a child when you were a little boy?
No, I never did. He was,
Probably too busy working.
he
Strictly
was I
business.
guess you're probably right. That's probably what it was. But
He was a businessman.
he was,
He wasn't a jokester. He wasn't a person who.
no, he was quite busy in the show. He was quite interested in South Emmett.
Would you say he was just a religious man, or would you say he was an educated man?
Just a religious man.
He was
He had the
educated.
job at Dr. Emmett for years. You know, they used
Gabbai?
uh,
The Gabbai?
Was the auctioneer.
auctioneer of the
Aliyahs?
Aliyahs
Aliyahs.
on the holiday,
Uh-huh.
Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. He had that for years.
Did he have a sense of humor,
I don't
or was he strictly pretty straightforward?
I would say it was straightforward. I don't
Uh-huh.
recall any humor.
What about your mother?
Mama, I
I
don't
like to
think
play bridge. She did with Mrs. Bronstein,
Miss Tardica, Miss Shapiro.
Mr. Kataka, remember?
Yeah.
Shapiro.
I just
Had,
don't
had a regular
remember all
clique,
that
didn't
stuff.
Your mama's friends you're talking about?
Oh,
Miss Tardikov and Miss Shapiro, and they played cards.
every day. I think after Papa sold the store, especially. She used to go down and help at the store too. Before they sold it.
Especially on Broadway, she was quite busy in the store all the time.
And then had all these kids.
Yeah.
Well, did they work on Shabbos? Did their father work on Shabbos?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the store was open on Shabbos.
So you wouldn't go
Sunday, too.
you wouldn't go so far as to say your father was a fanatic, though.
No.
But he quit.
No,
When he retired, he quit riding on Shabbos. You remember that?
Yeah.
I remember for Arnold's bar mitzvah was at Bethel, and he walked there and back.
I remember that.
Aunt Mary, what do you remember specifically about your parents? About your
Remember what?
what do you remember specifically about your father and your mother?
Not too much.
How would you describe them?
Well, he was power. He meant what he said.
He used to have problems. You told me about in a bathing suit. You had a bathing suit. You had a bathing suit one time. You told me you came
Oh, yeah.
downstairs. What
I
happened?
came down and tried on that bathing suit, and if you could see it, it came up to here, and it came down to the knees, and Papa walked in and...
You haven't got it yet, have you?
Too bad.
and
You can sell that and make money on it
Now
now.
they wear a shoestring.
So what
And,
happened? What did he say when?
Papa came down and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm showing Mama the bathing suit." I was going to Galveston, and Papa said, "You get upstairs. You've got 4 brothers, and you can't show
Can't walk around
your
like that.
knees or
Knees.
something."
Did your father wait up for you when you have a date? Did he stay up waiting for you?
Oh, no, I don't remember his waiting after me, but he was pretty particular about who I went with.
Did he mind you going out with Buttermilk Lewis?
Buttermilk Lewis.
Buttermilk. Hallie used to call it buttermilk.
Yeah.
That's the first date I had.
We had a guy. Remember Buttermilk
Bu-
Gerson?
And by
Yeah,
the way,
Buttermilk
Scott
Gerson,
Lewis
yeah.
is related, you know.
Oh, Scott Lewis is right.
And I was going to ask you about Scott Lewis,
Yeah.
but the first date I had, and Uncle Louis came to the rescue, and I wanted to go to that Purim Ball or whatever it was,
Matzo ball.
and Papa said, "No, you're too young, you can't go."
And what Uncle Louis do?
And Uncle Louis said, "What are you going to do with her? You're going to put her behind the stove?" He said, "Meyer, she's got to go out." So I think I went with him to that Purim Ball. I think. God, that's
Who
so
was
many
it, Mary?
years ago.
Buttermilk Lewis?
And Buttermilk Lewis.
Who is
You
which?
remember they had a hardware store
Oh, J.N.
on
Yeah,
Preston
over there
area,
on
and
Milam
that-
Street, I think it
on
was.
Milam Street or something. And Papa said, "Bushfire Lewis." "What Lewis?" And I told him.
Mm-hmm. So he finally let you go. What do you remember about Uncle Harry and Aunt Libby?
Oh, I used to go there a whole lot. Yeah, Uncle Harry was as different, and Uncle Louis was as different from Papa as night and day.
In what ways? They weren't religious, were they?
Well, they weren't as religious, and they're different. I think that Papa took after his father, and Uncle Louis and Uncle Harry, I think, were like Grandma.
Mm-hmm. What do you recall about Uncle Harry, or let's say Aunt Libby? She was an interesting person, wasn't she?
She was a ship.
I mean, wasn't she? She used to be a little bit famished, wasn't she, at one point? She used to
At
talk.
the end, she did.
But she was very fond of me.
And she liked me too.
She
died in about 50 or 51.
She died in July of 49. I was
49.
pregnant with Bernard.
Oh, really?
Who died?
Aunt Libby.
Oh, Aunt Libby died.
Uncle Harry died in 35.
Yeah,
Right.
35.
August.
What do you recall about him, Uncle
We
Abe?
went to down there to Rosenberg.
He was a well-to-do man. Did he do quite well for himself financially?
I thought he was pretty good. I'll tell you, I had to go to him almost every month when we had a note. When we bought the grocery, I forgot which one it was, but Papa made a loan and Uncle Harry signed for it. And we had to have it renewed every month.
The stomach
And I was the one that had to go to Uncle Uncle Harry's house, and they lived that time on Ruth Street.
Yeah, that big pretty house.
Yeah.
In Richmond? Is Richmond, Texas?
No, in Houston.
Oh, Houston.
They had moved already.
Oh, he closed the store down there?
Let's see, which store? Must have been the one from Dallas and Smith. We bought. But we owed money to the bank, and every month couldn't pay anything, so we had to have it renewed.
Did he?
Have the note, and I had to go over there to Uncle Lloyd and
Uncle Harry.
I mean Uncle Harry, and he had to sign for it.
Was he a pretty generous kind of fellow, do you think, or do you recall him?
I don't remember. I don't be generous enough. They keep looking in there.
But they were fairly well-to-do, though, anyway, weren't they?
I think. I don't know. I think so.
Uncle Morris, you remember anything about Uncle Harry at all? No.
He owned some land
He's been
around
gone
Richmond
over
there.
50 years.
He owned some land and acreage.
Was he into farming also? Did he had some farming going on there, too?
Farming and cotton and cattle and so forth.
But
Besides the store.
mostly dry goods is what his business was,
Yeah.
though, right? Aunt Mary, what about Uncle Harry? You don't remember anything more about him? You said
Well,
Aunt Libby
I
used to talk about, she used to always say that she's Mrs. Harry Rosenzweig and she could,
Oh, Minnie?
no.
Oh, Aunt Libby.
Oh, Aunt Libby.
She had him buy jewelry. She used to go get,
liked the best.
didn't she used to go buy jewelry, though, a lot? And she'd say
Oh,
that she
yeah.
was,
And she bought, you know, that home that they bought on Ruth Street. I was there before, for lunch or something, and she said,
There was
Herschel,
another sister.
you buy that house.
That was my dad's sister.
I want a house.
His mama.
And he went and bought it.
She called him Herschel?
Last week I bought
Herschel.
What did your father call him? Also Herschel?
I met a guy named
Oh,
Aaron Bond.
Hersch.
Your father called him Hersch?
Aaron Bond.
Hersch.
Hershey or Hersch?
Harris.
Hersch. But you used to tell me that she had some very strange ways, Aunt Libby, though, no?
Huh?
You used to say that Aunt Libby had some very strange ways, though.
Yeah, she got what she wanted.
Uh-huh. And Uncle Harry, didn't Uncle Abe, your husband, Uncle Harry, to the baths up in the North Texas with Max Epstein a couple times?
Who?
Didn't he take Uncle Harry with Max Epstein? Didn't they go to Hot Springs?
Oh,
or
yeah,
somewhere?
he made that trip.
They went
With,
up to
Uncle
Temple, I
Har-
thought.
what-
No, Marlin.
To Marlin?
Marlin, I thought it was. They went.
Yeah, and Max.
What was
called-
wrong with him? What was wrong with Uncle Harry?
Well, he had I think it was Bright's disease. What is that Bright's disease?
I thought that was a kidney disease.
Kidney, I think.
So in the end, he was pretty
And,
bad shape, or what? He got.
Max Epstein called Abe, my Abe, and asked him if he would drive to, and that was in 1932. And we were married a short while, and I said, Abe, honey, you go on with Max, and there'll be a trip, and you get away from things.
Mhm.
And so he did, and he drove to Marlin, and that's when Aunt Libby's sister was in that accident.
Stein.
What was her name?
Stein?
Huh?
Stein?
No,
No,
not
Mary Daly.
Oh, Mary
No,
Duke.
not Mary Daly.
Jenny
Uh,
Abnett.
Jenny Abnett.
Oh,
I knew
yeah,
I'd get
yeah,
And she
yeah,
had,
yeah, I know all
she
about
had
that.
a daughter living in Dallas, and they had a millinery establishment of some kind. And when Abe was wrote me that he was in Marlin, then he went back to Dallas to visit Jenny Abnett, and her daughter was living there. Who was her daughter?
Edith?
Edith. Edith had a millinery store.
So Uncle Harry was sick for a long time then, I assume.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was sick. When Minnie got married, Minnie walked to the altar by herself.
Really?
I remember it like it was yesterday. Uncle Harry was too sick to walk.
What about Uncle Louis? What do you recall about Uncle Louis?
Uncle Louis was a fisherman.
Fisherman,
Was he more of an outgoing kind of
He was
person?
oh, yeah.
very friendly.
Very, very friendly.
How many times was he married?
I don't know.
I think 3
I
times.
thought
Three.
Three?
But he was married to Aunt Molly for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And after she died, he married
Oh, yeah, that's right.
he
yeah.
married Ida
Ida
Pravda.
Pravda, who I think he really liked. He really liked her.
They divorced though?
Yeah.
And he got hooked on
And
that
then he
other
got this
gal.
other lady after
Other
that. I
one.
forgot her
She
name.
was from Dallas or Fort Worth, remember?
And that didn't last too. Well, she was with him when he died.
Yeah. Well, the kids didn't like her at all.
She was a nice lady.
She
And
was.
she didn't like the kids either.
She was a nice lady.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
we got real friendly with them over
I
there.
don't think they were,
Were your families-
very nice to her.
Were your families especially close with Uncle Louie's family or Uncle Harry's family growing up? Were y'all close with the kids in either one of those families?
Well, Morris was close to Uncle Louis, very close to him. We saw a lot of them after we got married.
Uh-huh. And but not so much Uncle Harry's family.
No, that was a little before
Well,
our
they
before
were
our
scattered
time.
quite a
We
bit.
did go visit them.
What about Aunt Sadie? Did any of you remember anything about Aunt Sadie?
Oh, a strange person.
Did you meet her? You recall meeting her, Aunt Freda? What was your recollections about her?
Well, at the time I met her, she was already,
Senile.
I guess you'd call it form senility.
It was
now, but
Alzheimer's
not-
disease, probably something like that. No.
She died in 36, I think.
38.
Did she know people? I mean, could she recognize people? She knew who people were.
I don't recall that.
That was Aaron's mother.
Yeah.
Mother, you used to tell me she used to pick up cigarette butts, didn't you?
Yeah, she got real bad before they. You remember that? She'd come get on the bus, or two buses. She knew how to come to our house. And when she'd get to our house, she would have a whole handful of cigarette butts she'd pick up along the way.
What
would
did you-
she do with
Smoke?
it?
No, I don't know why she picked them up. She just.
What did your folks think? Say what did they say about her? Or
Well, they knew that she was sick. I knew every Sunday, Papa used to make up a box of groceries. You remember? And we'd go over there after we'd keep the store open. He'd keep the store open till noon, and then we'd take the groceries, and I'd go with him many times to 2312 Colorado Street. And he,
Where they lived?
that's where
was it
they
a small? Was
lived.
it a shack?
And we dropped
What type
off.
of place was it?
A little small house.
Huh.
And he'd try to give her, but she
Nice
started
room,
getting
Mark.
bad, and you know, like I say, senile, or maybe it was Alzheimer's, I don't know, but she got so that
Somewhere
she had to be
around Washington.
Sanitarium?
outside
Yeah.
Washington.
So when she passed
Somewhere in
away,
Maryland.
Aaron basically became a member of of your
Right.
family, didn't he? Is it like almost like one of the children or what?
I remember that after the funeral, would you believe, we came over to our house to eat lunch, and Mama said, Aaron, you're like a member of my family anyway. You're here, and you're like my son, and I want you to stay here with us and live
He
with
was
us.
not that young.
No, he was, what, about 26, I guess.
26.
And did your folks? I mean, they didn't have a problem with him moving in the house, taking on a responsibility of another person in the house.
No, he and Abe shared the room together.
What was that like, Uncle Abe?
He likes his roommate that he's got now better.
Yeah, Aaron's been gone now since when? 1983? Yeah, 83.
Yeah, 83 he died.
Eighty-
Oh, Aaron
Yeah.
did.
6
You know,
years.
Gertie,
ago.
that's all like a dream.
Almost 7.
I didn't
Yeah.
think
Let me-
it was that long.
Yeah,
Let me ask a
And
couple
when
more
did
questions.
Rhodes pass away?
about 86, would you say?
What about your mother? There's another story I want to ask about. Is when she went into surgery. When she was under anesthesia? How did she respond to that?
No. Butterflies on the ceiling.
What did she say?
Monkeys.
What'd she say?
She said butterflies on the ceiling. I remember that she had eye surgery one time, and Sidney and I came into Houston to see her, and Papa met us at the door, and he said, sit down, I need to talk to y'all. I said, oh my God, what's wrong? He said, Mama, we're having a time with Mama. He said she sees monkeys, she talks, she's insulted everybody, she's told people bad things, and she don't know. She just, ever since she had the medicine from surgery,
They over-medicated her.
yeah, I
They
think
did.
so. She saw things that's not there, and
She used to wake up and say, look up there.
Yeah.
Look there. And something running around up there.
And you know what she do?
There's something running around. She would say.
Yeah. You know what she
But she
told
wasn't
me?
old then. It wasn't towards the end. It was already. She was still had a few years.
Probably in the late 40s or something.
In her late 40s?
No, in the
No,
late 40s.
Oh.
yeah.
In the 40s.
So
Well, I know, what I'm talking about was way in the 50s.
Oh,
It-
50s,
When
maybe
Dr.
52,
Kolodny
yeah.
operated on her eyes. But what I was going to say is I remember that at that time she said, oh, Kiko and this lady, oh, that's a beautiful baby you got. It's so pretty. And she said, it's Miss Via Hilaria. I don't want her to know.
What'd you say? What'd you
She'd
say?
say, it's Miss Via Hilaria, but I didn't want her to know. You know,
Looks like a monkey.
yeah, it looked like it, just like a monkey, she said.
Did the lady have a baby after?
There was nobody there. She was imagining everything.
Really? What, is there anything else about her being in surgery?
Oh, she started rattling off about Dr. Kolodny, and he's a money sucker.
She told it.
Just, I don't know whether he heard her or not. She was just, they had to end up finally,
Mary, what time do you have to go to lunch?
I have
they
to
finally
be up
called
at
in a
12:30.
psychiatrist,
Oh,
Dr.
12.
Gates,
Bye.
Yeah.
because they were really worried about her.
It's 20 minutes
But
to 12.
Oh,
it turned out that
I
he
didn't
examined her,
want
he said
you
he
to
thought
be
sure it
late.
was a medication.
Well,
Mhm.
I'll go up
Like to
about
go.
12:15.
Aren't you about through yet?
In just a minute. Now I'm going to ask you about you and Aunt Helen. How did you meet and where did you meet? And how did you end up together?
I'm gonna let her talk for a minute.
Okay, Aunt Helen, you go ahead.
Yes, sure.
Oh, I came to Houston for a vacation.
Did you have
My
family here?
sister,
Your sister was
my
living.
sister was living here,
Uh-huh.
and I was here for a month. And the very first night I was here, they took me downtown. They wanted to show me the downtown. That was everything then. And we met Abe and his friend Carl Seltzer
And Aaron
and
Barenbaum.
Aaron that first night. And we all went for coffee, remember, at Simpson's Diner. And we sat around and joked and everything. And
Yes.
from then on, he started calling me.
It encouraged.
So from the time you met, how long did it take before y'all got engaged?
Oh, I went back to Omaha.
Did he go to Omaha also?
No, not at that time. But when I came here, it was the 1st of January, wasn't it?
Right after.
Yeah, right after the 1st. I had spent New Year's Eve in Omaha.
It's 49, 48,
50.
50.
It was in 50. And when I came here, it was so beautiful. The weather was just wonderful. And I said, what am I doing up there in the cold climate? And I went back, and I decided to come back to Houston to live.
And so you all got married when?
So I chased her till she caught
Caught
me.
you, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I assumed. So you met in January, and when did you get married?
In November.
Of 50.
I'm 50.
Mm-hmm. And the wedding was where?
That's sure.
50 Shuren on Southmore.
Mm-hmm.
We
Well,
had a real
Well,
nice
Miller.
seated dinner
Yeah,
afterwards.
remember that? I got
That's,
pictures, a lot
What
of
was
them
his
gone
name?
already.
Capan? No.
No. What was the
What was the
place
name of
we
the
had
place
at
over there?
Alabama catering.
Alabama catering.
She remembers more than we do.
Yes, that's right.
And I remember what happened because his parents were supposed to be there.
Who's
And
fired?
Sidney's, and they weren't able to come because his sister went into labor. And she was in the hospital and she had a baby that night.
Yeah.
but I beg your
Right.
pardon, we saw some pictures of their house one time, and his mother was sitting at the table with Aunt Esther. I don't remember seeing his
Well,
father.
maybe they came later.
But you remember that? I remember seeing that picture, and you said you didn't think they were there, but it turned out they were at the dinner.
We
Oh,
have
well,
the
maybe
wedding
they did
pictures,
come
but I don't know
later.
if
I
it was there or
I'll
not.
have
Right.
to look again.
You remember that, Dan?
Sure. But she
That was
knows.
Ethel with Ronnie Hoffman?
Yeah, Ronnie, yeah.
Uncle Morris, Aunt Freda,
You ever hear
Uh-oh.
from them?
what's your story? Where did you meet?
He'll tell you
How did you meet?
Ain't no story.
Did
no
one of the
story.
boys
That's
get
your
sick
story.
at the house? You did.
Aunt Freda, you gonna tell it?
No, I want you to tell them
I
the
was
sad
about
story.
15
Did
years
anybody ever hear
old.
from Mike?
You were 15?
Or maybe
hear you
16 was
sing
it?
that?
16.
And I don't know, I probably met him at the
Oh,
Kesselberg
it's been years. I
something.
ran into Ike
at a
at the
party.
Safeway over there.
And we were married when I was 19.
15 years ago.
Uh-huh. So you met when you were 16, so y'all courted for 3 years? Really?
Courted.
What else did you do besides that? I didn't know they did anything other than that in them years.
Oh, Meyer.
Uncle Morris, so what?
Nothing. She chased me.
And then she caught you too, huh? So then wait, y'all went out for 3 years. And when did you get married?
In 31,
In 31. Where was that wedding at?
at Rosenzweig's house. We were just going to go to a rabbi and get married, and his mother said, no, come over our house and we'll get married. Schefter was the rabbi, wasn't he?
Yeah, Abraham
And
Schefter.
so we were married at their house.
Mm-hmm.
There was a dinner there, wasn't there? Didn't she?
Sure.
In the
Yeah.
house or outside, or where was the dinner?
In the house.
In those days, they used to have it in the house.
In the house.
The weddings were in the house. They
Right.
didn't
No.
go out
The wedding
there.
was in the house.
Was your father alive then, Freda?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
both of my sides were alive then.
Yeah,
Okay, and that was in 31.
Yeah.
Aunt Mary, how did you meet Uncle Abe?
That's something. I went to the Dorf Oshman's wedding. Never heard of Uncle Abe. I never heard of Abe Davidson before. And I went to the wedding, and Annie Finger and Hyman Finger saw me. I was dating somebody else. And they said, we've got a cousin I want you to meet. And that's when I met at Dora's wedding.
Met Uncle Abe. And how long did you court? How long did you go out?
How long?
Not long.
From Monday to Tuesday.
So when was Dora's wedding? Is it 33?
We went out.
No, they got married in 32.
32.
Went from December the 6th, was 58 years, and we married in February.
So wait, you met in December of 31?
32,
31.
31.
Yes, and then you
And
married
we
in February of...
February of
32.
32.
And where was that wedding at?
At the house.
On West Main.
Also in West Main. Your father walked you down the aisle, or your father and mother, both?
I think
She said
so.
you
I
remember more than me.
came
I
down
remember the wedding
the
very
stairs.
faintly, but
Uh-huh. And,
Yeah.
and they had also a dinner there?
Huh?
They had a dinner there also.
Yeah.
We had shaverbrachas and the whole
Did you have
family.
shaver every
Rabbi,
night? Did you have for a week?
No.
Only
no,
the first
no,
night?
No, just the Saturday. And then we had open house in the afternoon.
Now, what rabbi married?
Rabbi Geller?
I know, no.
Was it Geller?
Or was it the
I
same
don't
one?
think
Was
it
it
was
Schechter?
Bella.
Was it Schechter, the same one that married us?
Could have been.
They had a Rabbi Stern
Papa
came along
got
about
the
that time.
Kaplans
That was
together.
Rabbi
did that.
Stern was along that
The
time.
Kaplans,
Rabbi Kaplan?
Cantor Kaplan.
Arati Shuren or Darate
and,
Myth?
Mrs. Kaplan were at the wedding. And
Arati
of
Shuren,
course,
I think.
the family was.
I don't remember the name of the rabbi.
What,
We
okay.
went to
Marshall, what
Belaya,
car did you have then when you were in court?
Oh, Model T, I think.
and there was nothing in Belaya, believe me.
Y'all had a hardware store, right?
Did you have good tires on it
Well,
then?
we had a little of everything. It was a kind of a
Did you have to
general
pump 'em
store.
up before you-
Later
Yeah,
on, we
those
went
are the days when
strictly
you had
in
an
the
inner
hardware.
tube in there.
And
you know,
notions.
No,
Uh-huh. You all were very well known in Bel Air, weren't
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Uncle Morris, what business were you in? You were in, for many years you worked for the company,
I worked for the cotton company.
I worked for Anderson Clayton,
Anderson, which was a large cotton firm.
a large cotton.
And what was your job? You were the foreman there?
Used to pick cotton.
I was a clerk in the office. in
Used to pick
charge
cotton?
of invoicing.
What did you say?
Used to pick cotton, yeah.
Did you hear that, Uncle Morris? Let's see your hands. Put your hands up. There's no cuts on those hands. So, and you were with them for how long, Uncle Morris?
44 years.
For 44 years, and then you retired.
Then I retired to labor.
And now,
To hard labor.
hardly. What do you do now?
Me?
Yes.
All I do is walk around and act pretty.
That's it?
That's all.
Do you do windows
3
too?
days a week.
Huh?
Do you do windows? No windows.
Work at the store.
Yeah,
You work at-
that's what he tells me.
At Alan Rosenzweig's store, yes?
Right.
Which used to be Uncle Eddie's store. And Middleton's in, what city is it in?
Galena Park.
Galena Park. Uncle Abe, you were in the grocery business with your father for a few years, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you all sold the business, you went just into the property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Started buying.
He had his property and I had my property.
Uh-huh. And so that was very, very good. And you retired just in the last, how many years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Mom, I'm going to get back to you about your wedding. But shouldn't ask you. I guess I should ask Dad because he hadn't said much yet. Can you? How did that happen?
How we met?
How did you meet?
How'd you get your things together?
He got his milk and place to dig dishes.
Don't go up.
Yeah, we was. Mother used to play the piano for a lot of the weddings around Houston, and my oldest brother Herman got married, and she played the piano. And
Who you played for Herman?
we went to the rehearsal. We went to the rehearsal for the wedding, and Mom came and she said she couldn't stay long. She had another party to go to, and after the rehearsal, we went to have a dinner over at Aunt Rosie's sister's house, and she sat there plinking on the piano. And of course, I saw another gal I was really interested, but she had already been engaged.
She's already taken, right?
She's dead now. Never now.
Who was that?
Mary was born.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go out with her?
No, I didn't get. She's already
She was already
engaged. She's already engaged.
So go ahead.
And then
I went out with her.
I
think a
we
couple of
took,
nights
Mother
before she
had
got
this
engaged to
another engagement, so we took her over to
I
this
went out with Jack.
other place.
Who had another engagement?
Yeah.
Mother had to go to she's going to a birthday party, weren't you? Going to
Yeah.
a birthday party? She went to this birthday party, and I took her over to the people's house and asked her if I could see her again. She said, well, maybe. So she went there, and then I called her again, and we had a date, and after that we started going pretty steady.
And that was from how long till the time you met to the time you got engaged?
Let's see, we got in
We met in February.
February, and we got married in September.
When were y'all engaged?
May.
May.
So like 2 months after you met, you got engaged.
She didn't believe in a long engagement.
He didn't give me a chance to breathe.
Oh
I
my God.
married in 46.
Yeah.
At the Rice Hotel.
Aunt Mary,
Yeah, I remember that.
you got married. Wait, Mom, you got married at the Rice Hotel.
Yeah, which is no longer in existence.
And what was the wedding like there? How many people did you have there?
Mike's trying to buy
The
it back.
hotel's
About
still there. The
300
hotel is still
people.
there,
The
but
building is standing.
Did you have a dinner afterwards?
They gotta
I
change
thought it was
it
about
to the fire
300.
code.
300.
They have to change it.
Maybe
It costs as
200.
much.
I don't know.
Did you have a dinner afterwards?
No, we had a reception and at night. Yeah, at night at our house.
You had Sheva Brachas?
At Shevabuchas. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Aunt Mary,
Huh?
did your father make you go to the mikveh before the wedding?
No, nobody made me go to the mikveh.
You didn't have to go. Aunt Mary, let me ask you a question now. You married Uncle Abe in 1932, right?
Yeah.
And then you had one child, was Hallie Ray. She was born when?
In 30. Oh, let's see, 34.
She was born in 34,
July the 3rd.
on July the 3rd, 1934.
Yeah.
And Hallie passed away a few years ago in 1980.
It'll be 4 years in March.
86. Uncle Morris, now you all had two children. The oldest one was
Arnold
Arnold, and Arnold was born when?
in 36
And then Kenny
7 years later.
and 43.
in 43. And Arnold now lives in Houston, and
Yeah.
Kenny is living where?
Dayton,
He's living with us after being divorced. He has 2 surviving children.
That's Arnold.
Arnold.
Yes. He has 2 surviving children. And now Kenny and Arnold's living in Houston, works with the Jewish Herald Voice
Yeah.
as one of the editors there.
Uh-huh.
Now, Kenny lives where again? In Dayton, Ohio?
Dayton.
And he is a professor
Accounting, yes.
of accounting at which school?
Dayton University.
Dayton University.
University of Dayton.
And he's married.
Yeah.
And
Those
they live-
children, his
Has-
wife.
Has
Work.
2 dogs.
Those are the children. The two. What are the dogs' names? Get them
I
on the
don't know
tape for
what-
posterity.
Mike and Mike.
Ike and Mike.
I was going to say Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh.
What other?
Those are two. They're collies, aren't they?
Collies.
Yeah,
Two collie dogs. Very pretty dogs.
What are their names?
Emily and,
Oh, yeah, that's right. One of them is Emily.
Susie.
I don't
Emily and Susie.
forgot.
Close enough.
Uncle Abe. Now,
Hello.
Uncle Abe and Aunt Helen. Now, you all have 3 children,
Yeah.
and the first one was
Adele.
Adele. And her name was Adele. What?
Florence.
Adele Florence. And she was born right after, not long after you got married, wasn't in
52.
52. And then was
Joyous.
Joyce.
Joyce. Does she have a middle name?
Joyce Linda.
Joyce Linda. And the youngest was. Hey,
Robert.
wait. Joyce was born when? In 54? 55.
55.
55. And then
Robert Harris.
Robert Harris. And that was
57.
57. And where are they now? Now Adele is here in Houston.
She's with
Adele is here in Houston, and she's with the Houston Public Library.
Right.
And Joyce is now in New York,
Right.
and she's a concert pianist.
Yeah.
She's-
She also works for Hebrew Union College.
Hebrew Union College.
Yeah, she teaches cantors.
I want to make sure this is on the record also. She was quite an accomplished musician. She had, how many years training she had with Aunt Freda, first of all, didn't she?
Yes, that was her
She
first
had
teacher.
8 years with me, and then she went on to other. I suggested she go to Ruth Burr, the best teacher in Houston. And then she went to
She went to Oberlin
I remember.
after that.
Uh-huh.
And then she went to Manhattan School of Music in New York.
Okay. And she still lives in New York.
Yes.
And then Robert went to A&M, right?
Yes, he graduated A&M.
And is now he's broadcasting in Austin now.
Yes, he's a meteorologist. He's on every morning on channel 24
In Austin.
in
I'll
Austin.
never forget when I was in College Station watching and seeing Bob Rose on TV.
That's his name on
Is it Rose or
television.
Ross?
Bob Rose.
Bob Rose. Well, okay. What about the Den children? You had 4, right?
4 boys.
Yeah. Don't you know?
I'm not sure. Why don't you refresh my memory?
Shop is
The
closed.
oldest one is named Bernard, and he's married to a girl named Gail, and they live in Oxnard,
Hmm.
California.
When was he born?
He was born in 1949.
And then the next one was
Steve,
Stephen Howard. Yeah.
yes, Stephen Howard, and he lives in Dallas. His wife is named Dina.
Hmm.
They have 2 girls.
2 girls.
Yeah.
And the third one is named Brian, and he's back in California working. He has 3 children.
When was Brian born?
In 55.
55.
And
He had 3 children.
Tom, Maury, and Britt.
Brit. Yeah.
And the 4th one I don't like to talk about.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. We'll,
No, talk about the 4th one.
Meyer.
Where did the 4th one live?
the first one was Meyer. And when was he born?
1962, August the 15th.
Aunt Mary, what did you used to say about me?
You didn't tell him the whole story, did you?
What'd she
And
say?
That when she was pregnant, she said, if I have another boy, I'm going to give him to you. So you're partly mine, you know that.
I thought you said when she said she had another boy, she was going to drown him, you said.
Huh?
Or she said she had another one like me, she would drown it?
No.
What did
I
she
didn't
say?
That.
Somebody said
She
that.
said, if I have another boy, I'll give him to you. You
Well,
know?
Aunt Mary, for posterior, I want you to tell, for posterity, I want you to tell the story about the shul, in the shul with Ida Epstein.
Who?
Your story about being in shul in Wharton with Ida Epstein.
Oh,
Him go up.
you mean him? Yeah, Ida said, Mary, all the kids that were supposed to come upstairs, up to the pulpit, and she said, Maya is the first one there, and the others, the mamas had to beg them to come up. Oh, yeah.
Had a feather in the hat, right?
Huh?
The feather in the hat.
And a feather in the hat. I remember that.
The only other one we didn't talk about today was Eddie, and I hope we'll be able to at another future time to be able to sit down with Eddie and speak with him. But
You
just for
know-
the record, so we know, Eddie is married to Rubelee. They got married when?
37.
1937. Rubelee Aaron, and they had 2 children. The oldest was
Alan,
Alan, who was born when?
38.
38. And he's married.
Right, to
and-
Linda.
To Linda, and they have what? 2 children.
2 children.
And then they had another daughter, Barbara, who was born when? And
42.
and she was killed in an accident when in
And 86.
1986. She also had 2 children,
Yeah.
a boy named Stacy and
Stephen.
Stephen. Yeah.
Stephen.
So that's for the record. Well, I hope that it hasn't been boring for you all. I can see Uncle Abe says it has though.
You know,
But I have a feeling that some point in the future, when I'm able to come down and spend a little more time, we'll have a chance to sit down and talk a little more about it. If Uncle Abe's memory will come back to him miraculously.
What post office are you going to put all this in?
I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it in the Israeli the Knesset.
Yeah.
Thank you all again for your time, and in Yirtzeh Hashem, I hope we'll be able to do it again another time.
When are you going to show this now?
Well, aren't you going to include all your accomplishments?
Oh, I'm the next generation. We'll let the next generation make a tape like this.
That's right.
When are you going to show this again?
When do you want to see it? Maybe we can have a Rosenzweig family reunion. And everybody come down and we'll show it on a big screen video.
Around so I can.
December 31st, 1989. I hope for the new year and the new decade we all have good health,
Good health and, is that for you?
Yeah.
Be content.
Prosperity.
longer urine, prosperity.
Well,
I used to think longer urine meant that somebody had a urological problem.
Huh?